So let's take a moment of silence and invoke Mother's and Aurobildo's presence before we start with the reading. Yes. So last time we had, I think, taken up this one, if I'm not wrong. Today maybe we can. Oh, no. Yeah, but I thought we can maybe take up this little, uh, yeah, this one, this big question and its response. It's about Purusha and Prakriti, and then we can see what all is there. I thought it would be nice. Yes. So if anyone wants to read, you can
Yes.
read. Yeah, you can read the question and then the response to the first question. Yeah.
Okay. Sunday, March 13, 1926. Master, there is something I don't understand very well. Suppose I'm meditating. At first, there is a quite at first there is quite a large action of the semi-automatic mind, which continues the original movement. Little by little, this action becomes calm and stops. I find myself then face to face with the quiet mind. But there is another activity of the mind, of inner language, which seems to be aroused by myself. It is with this thought that I tell myself, for instance, now I am observing my thoughts. Whence does this one come? Now all is calm. I must also stop talking to myself thus, etc., etc. It is possible to stop this activity also. Absolutely. Where does it come from? Its laws are those of the mind, but it seems to reflect some purpose of the Purusha, or to serve him as an instrument of knowledge and action. If it were aroused by Prakriti would be struggling against herself. On the other hand, how can Purusha, who is calm, immutable, bring about a change? If really there is no change in him, this would be impossible, wouldn't it? At first, it so happens that Prakriti does struggle against herself, certain parts against certain others. But Purusha is not totally inactive. This inactivity, reduced to the single role of passive witness, is that of Sankhya. Purusha is Sakshi. But even then, he can either give or refuse his consent. He is the giver of sanction, Anumanta. And Prakriti does not work only for herself. She works for Purusha also. She executes. But Purusha is more than that. It is not he who executes. His activity is not effective, but he is also the knower and Lord Ishvara. And what he decides, Prakriti executes. In most people, Purusha is hidden behind all mental action. There is certainly a consent to the play of Prakriti, but Purusha is not free then. Prakriti casts her action on Purusha. Purusha must first recover his attitude of witness. Then he experiences that he has a certain power over the activities of Prakriti.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so again, this thing is something which we have come across again and again in conversations with Sri Aurobindo by Pavitra. This aspect of disentangling our, one can say in other words, disentangling consciousness and the content of consciousness. So there are the content of consciousness, we can say thoughts, feelings, and sense perceptions, interpretations, ideas. So all that is the content, and then there is the screen on which this movie is playing, which is the screen of consciousness. So in other words, we can also use these two terms, so that we are trying to now disentangle, that uh, usually we are just the movie, but now we are able to see there are images and then there is the screen, and that is how the movie is taking place. So Purusha is that screen on which the play is happening, the consciousness on which the content appears from time to time. It comes and goes and comes and goes, and then usually we call Purusha as the immutable and ever unchanging, because that is given, like, you are doing a play, there is a theater and you are doing a play, so that stage needs to be very stable, only then the role play can happen on the stage. So that stability is provided by that consciousness, which has for now taken a back seat. It doesn't appear to be very, we require a very subtle ability so that we can become conscious of being conscious. Otherwise, usually we are just conscious of the content of consciousness. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What are the ideas in my mind? That I am conscious of. But this disentanglement is a necessary step. We have been touching many, many paragraphs earlier where Sri Aurobindo talks about this disentanglement that we have to do. And why is this entangled? Is what Sri Aurobindo shares in Savitri in the book 1, Canto 3, Canto 4, The Secret Knowledge, where when Ashwapati is doing his yoga, he realizes that how this whole design is there, the design of creation, why we are like that, why we are so entangled, and then we have to do this kind of, the effort of disentangling, because the design is such, because Purusha and Prakriti have made a pact with each other. The two who are one, they have made a pact with each other that will be in the foreground first. Prakriti, the thoughts, happenings of life, sensations, perceptions, all that will be in the foreground first. And then slowly through those experiences, Purusha, the consciousness, will regain its stature and slowly will come forward and take over as king. So I thought that it would be a very nice idea to read, just go through. I'm sure people have, all of us are patient enough to read. So we'll read today The Secret Knowledge, because it is very, very much in alignment with this paragraph that we just read. So that will just give us more insight, and then we can, of course, do our ruminations when we are back home. So let's read. Each person can read 2 pages each, and we can, it's a small canto, won't take much of our time, but will give us many, many good lines to ruminate upon, to think about. how this all thing is designed. So let's, yeah, if there are any reflections you can share, otherwise we can start with the reading. 2 pages each we can read, those of us who have the capacity to read.
Just one question. When this Kaveri asked, the first one is the, you know, just the thoughts you see, but then there is something that also knows,
Hmm.
or there's a thought that sees, that says, I'm the observer, so and so, but I think he uses.
Hmm.
So how does Shobin reply to that? What does he say to that?
He actually, in this one that we read, he doesn't reply to that's what, just a second. Yeah, so it's just movement of Prakriti only. So he replies in terms of Prakriti and Purusha, because thought is a thought, it's a movement, and it will be classified as that part of movement only. So one can have an observation that, oh, I am observing that, I am observing, and then it can just go on and on and on. It's like a, unending sequence that you can enter, but it is only Prakriti. So that is why I feel that that's why he doesn't exactly reply to that, what Pavitra Da has asked in the question, but he talks about Purusha and Prakriti. At
Mhm.
least this is what I can see here.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So all of us, I think, have this experience, right? That when we, when we sit for meditation and we observe the thoughts, and then say you're focusing on the breath, on the heart, or whatever, or maybe combination. Then suddenly some thoughts will come to distract.
Mm.
Then again you'll be observant. So there is something that is conscious, that the thought has come and says, okay, no, so go back to the breath, or go back to the heart. So, but that is also a thought that has come to say, I guess I'm just, maybe it's not worth kind of the intellectual thing, but it just got me thinking the way he asked that question. That was a very uh, perceptive question, right? It's not like there is no thought. That's, I guess, the point I was thinking. It's not like there is no thought. There is an awareness, and then there is also the thought that, oh, now I've had no thoughts. I mean, that itself is a thought. It's just
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. So, would anyone like to start? Let's take up, one person can take 2 pages.
I can start if you
Yeah,
want. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll go later.
Yes, Shilpa, you want to start?
yeah,
Yeah.
I can for a few minutes.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay. The secret knowledge. On a height he stood that looked towards greater heights. Our early approaches to the infinite are sunrise splendors on a marvelous verge, while lingers yet unseen the glorious sun. What now we see is a shadow of what must come. The earth's uplook to a remote unknown is a preface only of the epic climb of human soul from its flat earthly state to the discovery of a greater self and the far gleam of an eternal light. This world is a beginning and a base, where life and mind erect their structured dreams. An unborn power must build reality. A death-bound littleness is not all we are. Immortal our forgotten vastnesses await discovery in our summit selves.
unmeasured breadths and depths of being are ours. Akin to the ineffable secrecy, mystic, eternal in unrealized time, neighbors of heaven are nature's altitudes. To these high-peaked dominions sealed to our search, too far from surface nature's postal routes, too lofty for our mortal lives to breathe. Deep in us a forgotten kinship points, and a faint voice of ecstasy and prayer calls to those lucent lost immensities. Even when we fail to look into our souls, or lie embedded in earthly consciousness, still have we parts that grow towards the light. Yet are there luminous tracts and heaven serene, and Eldorados of splendor and ecstasy, and temples to the Godhead none can see. A shapeless memory lingers in us still, and sometimes when our sight is turned within, earth's ignorant veil is lifted from our eyes. There is a short, miraculous escape. This narrow fringe of clamped experience we leave behind meted to us as life, our little walks, our insufficient reach. Our souls can visit in great lonely hours still regions of imperishable light, all-seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon-flame oceans of swift fathomless bliss, and calm immensities of spirit space. In the unfolding process of the self, sometimes the inexpressible mystery elects a human vessel of descent. A breath comes down from a supernal air. A presence is born. A guiding light awakes. A stillness falls upon the instruments. Fixed, motionless like a marble monument, stone calm, the body is a pedestal supporting a figure of eternal peace. Or a revealing force sweeps blazing in. Out of some vast superior continent, knowledge breaks through trailing its radiant seas, and nature trembles with the power, the flame. A greater personality sometimes possesses us, which yet we know is ours, or we adore the master of our souls. Then the small bodily ego thins and falls, no more insisting on its separate self, losing the punctilio of its separate birth. It leaves us one with nature and with God. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gods.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Vishal, you want to go next?
Yeah, just a second. I'm going to just tell me when to stop because I'm reading on my Kindle.
Okay. 2 pages.
Yeah, just tell me when to stop because I can't. My 2 pages don't correlate with. That's okay. It was to its gulfs, right? We stopped at that point.
Yeah.
Spirit, yes. A wider consciousness opens then its doors, invading from spiritual silences. A ray of the timeless glory stoops a while to commune with our seized illumined clay, and leaves its huge white stamp upon our lives. In the oblivious field of mortal mind, revealed to the closed prophet eyes of trance, or in some deep internal solitude, witnessed by a strange immaterial sense, the signals of eternity appear. The truth mind could not know, unveils its face. We hear what mortal ears have never heard. We feel what earthly sense has never felt. We love what common hearts repel and dread. Our minds hush to a bright omniscient. A voice calls from the chambers of the soul. We meet the ecstasy of the Godhead's touch in golden privacies of immortal fire. These signs are native to a larger self that lives within us by ourselves unseen. Only sometimes a holier influence comes, a tide of mightier surgings bears our lives, and a diviner presence moves the soul. Or through the earthly coverings, something breaks, a grace and beauty of supernal light, the murmuring tongue of a celestial fire. Ourself and a higher stranger whom we feel. It is and acts unseen as if it were not. It follows the line of sempiternal birth, yet it seems to perish with its mortal frame. Assured of the apocalypse to be, it reckons not the moments and the hours. Great, patient, calm, it sees the centuries pass, awaiting the slow miracle of our change in the sure deliberate process of world force and the long march of all revealing time. It is the origin and the master clue, a silence overhead, an inner voice, a living image seated in the heart, an unwalled wideness and a fathomless point. The truth of all these cryptic shows in space, the real towards which our strivings move, the secret grandiose meaning of our lives, a treasure of honey in the combs of God, a splendor burning in a tenebrous cloak. It is our glory of the flame of God, our golden fountain of the world's delight, an immortality cowled in the cape of death, the shape of our unborn divinity. It guards for us our fate in depths within, where sleeps the eternal seed of transient things. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope, a burning witness in the sanctuary, regards through time and the blind walls of form, a timeless light in his hidden eyes. He sees the secret things no words can speak and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journeying years. But all is screened, subliminal, mystical. It needs the intuitive heart, the inward turn. It needs the power of a spiritual gaze. Else to our waking mind's small moment look, a goalless voyage seems our dubious course. Some, some chance has settled or hazarded some will, or a necessity without aim or cause, unwillingly compelled to emerge and be. In this dense field, where nothing is plain or sure, our very being seems to us questionable. Our life, a vague experiment, the soul, a flickering light in a strange, ignorant world. The earth, a brute mechanic accident, the net of death in which by chance we live.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone who want to take it next? Jagan?
Yes, yes. All we have learned appears a doubtful guess. The achievement done, a passage or a phase, whose farther end is hidden from our sight. A chance happening or a fortuitous fate. Out of the unknown, we move to the unknown. Ever surround our brief existence here, gray shadows of unanswered questions. The dark, inconscious, signless mysteries stand up unsolved behind fate's starting line. An inspiration in the night's profound seed of a perishing body and half-lit mind uplifts its lonely tongue of conscious fire towards an undying light forever lost. Only it hears soul echo of its call, the dim reply in man's unknowing heart, and meets, not understanding why it came or for what reason is the suffering here. God's sanction to the paradox of life and the riddle of the immortal's birth in time. Along a path of aeons serpentine, in the coiled blackness of her nescient course, the earth goddess toils across the sands of time. A being is in her whom she hopes to know. A word speaks to her heart she cannot hear. A fate compels whose form she cannot see. In her unconscious orbit through the void, out of her mindless depths she strives to rise. A perilous life again, a struggling joy, thought that can conceive but hardly knows, rises slowly in her and creates the idea, the speech that labels more than it lights, a trembling gladness that is less than bliss, invades from all this beauty that must die. Alarmed by the sorrow dragging at her feet, and conscious of the high things not yet won, ever she nurses in her sleepless breast an inward urge that takes from her rest and peace. Ignorant and weary and invincible, she seeks through the soul's war and quivering pain the pure perfection her nature needs, a breath of Godhead on her stone and mire, a faith she craves that can survive defeat, the sweetness of a love that knows not death, the radiance of a truth forever sure. A light grows in her, she assumes a voice, a state she learns to read, and the act she has done. But the one needed truth eludes her grasp, herself and all of which she is a sign. An inarticulate whisper drives her steps, of which she feels the force, but not the sense. A few rare intimations come as guides, immense divining flashes cleave her brain, and sometimes in her hours of dream and muse, the truth that she has missed looks out on her as if far off and yet within her soul. A change comes near that flees from her sun surmise, and ever postponed compels attempt and hope, yet seems too great for mortal hope to dare. A vision meets her supernal powers that draw her as if mighty kinsmen lost, approaching with estranged great luminous gaze. Then is she moved to all that she is not, and stretches arms to what was never hers. Outstretching arms to the unconscious void, passionate, she prays to invisible forms of gods, soliciting from dumb fate in toiling time what most she needs, what most exceeds her scope. A mind unvisited by illusion's gleams, a will expressive of soul's deity, a strength not forced to stumble by its speed, a joy that drags not sorrow as its shade.
Thank you.
For these, yes,
Thank you. Well, is anyone more there? Oh, okay. Nandini, would you have the capacity to read? Okay, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, I can go ahead in that case. For these she yearns and feels them destined hers. Heaven's privilege she claims as her own right. Just is her claim, the all-witnessing gods approve, clear in a greater light than reason owns. Our intuitions are its title deeds. Our souls accept what our blind thoughts refuse. Earth's winged chimeras are truth's steeds in heaven. The impossible, God's sign of things to be. But few can look beyond the present state, or overleap this matted hedge of sense. All that transpires on earth and all beyond are parts of an illimitable plan. The one keeps in his heart and knows alone. Our outward happenings have their seed within, and even this random fate that imitates chance, this mass of unintelligible results, are the dumb graph of truths that work unseen. The laws of the unknown create the known. The events that shape the appearance of our lives are a cipher of subliminal quiverance, which rarely we surprise or vaguely feel, are an outcome of suppressed realities that hardly rise into material day. They are born from the spirit's sun of hidden powers, digging a tunnel through emergency. But who shall pierce into the cryptic gulf and learn what deep necessity of the soul determined casual deed and consequence? Absorbed in a routine of daily acts, our eyes are fixed on an external scene. We hear the crash of the wheels of circumstance and wonder at the hidden cause of things. Yet a foreseeing knowledge might be ours, if we could take our spirits stand within, if we could hear the muffled demon voice. Too seldom is the shadow of what must come cast in an instant on the secret sense, which feels the shock of the invisible, and seldom in the few who answer give, the mighty process of the cosmic will communicates its image to our sight, identifying the world's mind with ours. Our range is fixed within the crowded arc of what we observe and touch and thought can guess, and rarely dawns the light of the unknown, waking in us the prophet and the seer. The outward and the immediate are our field. The dead past is our background and support. Mind keeps the soul prisoner. We are slaves to our acts. We cannot free our gaze to reach wisdom's sun. Inheritor of the brief animal mind, man, still a child in nature's mighty hands, in the succession of the moments lives. To a changing present is his narrow right. His memory stares back at a phantom past. The future flees before him as he moves. He sees imagined garments, not a face. Armed with a limited precarious strength, he saves his fruits from work from adverse chance. A struggling ignorance is his wisdom's mate. He waits to see the consequence of his acts. He waits to weigh the certitude of his thoughts. He knows not what he shall achieve or when. He knows not whether at last he shall survive, or end like the mastodon and the sloth, and perish from the earth where he was king. He is ignorant of the meaning of his life. He is ignorant of his high and splendid fate. Only the immortals on their deathless heights, dwelling beyond the walls of time and space, masters of living, free from the bonds of thought, who are overseers of fate and chance and will, and experts of the theorem of world need, can see the idea, the might that changed time's course, come maned with light from undiscovered worlds, here while the world toils on with its deep blind heart, the galloping hooves of the unforeseen event, bearing the superhuman rider near, and impassive to earth's din and startled cry, return to the silence of the hills of God. As lightning leaps, as thunder sweeps, they pass and leave their mark on the trampled breast of life. So please continue. Let's take this up where it will come Purusha and Prakriti. Please continue. Anyone who want to read next, please read around 2 pages.
Above the world, am I audible?
Yes, Nandini.
Above the world creator stands. In the phenomenal sea its mystic source. These heed not the deceiving outward play, they turn not to the common's busy tram, but listen with the still patience of the unborn for the slow footsteps of the far destiny approaching through huge distances of time, unmarked by the eye that sees effect and cause, unheard mid the clamor of the human plane, attentive to an unseen truth, they see a sound as of invisible auger wings, voices of an unplumbed significance, mutterings that brood in the core of matter's sleep. The murmurs lost by life's uncaring ear, a prophet's speech in thought's omniscient trance, above the illusion of the hopes that pass, behind the appearance and the overt act, behind this clockwork chance and vague surmise, amid the wrestle of force, the trampling feet, across the cries of anguish and of joy, across the triumph, fighting and despair, they watch the bliss for which earth's heart has cried, on the long road which cannot see its end, winding undetected through the skeptic days. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
And to meet it guides the unheedful moving world. Thus will the mass transcendent mount his throne. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind is the only lamp, as a thief in the night shall be the covert tread of one who steps unseen into his house. A voice ill heard shall speak, the soul obey. A power into mind's inner chamber steal, a charm and sweetness open life's closed doors, and beauty conquer the resisting world. A truth light capture nature by surprise, the stealth of thought compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine. In matter shall be lit the spirit's glow, in body and body kindle the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of stars, the day become a happy pilgrim march, our will a force of eternal power, and thought the rays of a spiritual sun. A few shall see what none yet understand, what shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep. For man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done. A consciousness that knows not its own truth, a vagrant hunter of misleading dawns, between the being's dark and luminous ends, moves here in a half light that seals the whole, an intrigunum of reality, cuts off the integral thought, the total power. It circles or stands in a weak interface, doubtful of its beginning and its close, or runs upon a road that has no end. Far from original dusk, the final flame, in some huge void, unconscious it lives, like a thought persisting in a wide emptiness.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Anyone who willing to go next? Okay, I'll go ahead in that case.
I can read if you
Vishal,
want.
please.
Just, yeah. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. Just go back to my. Um, where were we? Sorry, which line?
Yeah, it's in front of you as if an unintelligible phrase.
Okay. Yeah, again, I'm reading from my Kindle, so just tell me when to stop. As if an unintelligible phrase suggested a million renderings to the mind, it lends a purport to the random world, a conjecture leaning upon doubtful proofs, a message misunderstood, a thought confused. Missing its aim is all that it can speak, or a fragment of the universal word. It leaves two giant letters void of sense, while without sanction turns the middle sign, carrying an enigmatic universe as if a present without future or past, repeating the same revolutions whirl, turned on its axis in its own inane. Thus is the meaning of creation veiled, for without context reads the cosmic page. Its signs stare at us like an unknown script, as if appeared screened by a foreign tongue, or code of splendor signs without a key, a portion of a parable sublime. It wears to the perishable creature's eyes the grandeur of a useless miracle, wasting itself that it may last a while, a river that can never find its sea. It runs through life and death on an edge of time. A fire in the night is its mighty action's place. This is our deepest need to join once more. What now is parted, opposite in twain, remote in sovereign spheres that never meet, or fronting like far poles of night and day. We must fill the immense lacuna we have made, rewed the closed finite's lonely consonant with the open vowels of infinity. A hyphen must connect matter and mind. The narrow isthmus of the ascending soul. We must renew this secret bond in things. Our hearts recall the lost divine idea, reconstitute the perfect word, unite the Alpha and the Omega in one sound. Then shall the spirit and nature be at one. Two are the ends of the mysterious plan. In the wide, signless ether of the self, in the unchanging silence, white and nude, aloof, resplendent like gold dazzling suns, veiled by the ray no mortal eye can bear, the spirit's free and absolute potencies burn in the solitude of the thoughts of God. A rapture and a radiance and a hush, delivered from the approach of wounded hearts, denied to the idea that looks at grief, remote from the force that cries out in its pain. In his inalienable bliss they live, immaculate in self-knowledge and self-power, calm they repose on the eternal will. Only his law they count and him obey. They have no goal to reach, no aim to serve. Implacable in their timeless purity, all barter or bribe of worship they refuse, unmoved but by cry of revolt and ignorant prayer. They reckon not our virtue and our sin. They bend not to the voices that implore. They hold no traffic with error and its reign. They are guardians of silence, of the silence of the truth. They are keepers of the immutable decree. A deep surrender is their source of might, a still identity their way to know. Motionless is their action, like a sleep. At peace regarding the trouble beneath the stars, deathless, watching the works of death and chance, immobile, seeing the millenniums pass, untouched while the long map of fate unrolls. They look on us struggling with impartial eyes, and yet without them, cosmos could not be.
Thank you. Thank you. Jayashree, would you like to read?
Yeah,
Okay, so then please read 2 pages.
yeah. The book one, that one.
Yeah, so we are from here, impervious to desire and doom and hope, starting from here.
Yeah, sure. Impervious to desire and doom and hope, their station of inviolable might, moveless, upholds the world's enormous task. Its ignorance is by their knowledge lit, its yearning lasts by their difference. As the height draws the low ever to climb, as the breadth draw the small to adventure vast, their aloofness drives man to surpass himself. Our passion heaves to wed the eternal's calm. Our dwarf search mind to meet the omniscience light. Our helpless hearts to enshrine the omnipotence force, acquiescing in the wisdom that made hell, and the harsh utility of death and tears, acquiescing in the gradual steps of time. Careless they seem of the grief that string the world's heart, careless of the pain that rends its body and life. Above joy and sorrow is that grandeur walk. They have no portion in the good that dies. Mute, pure, they share not in the evil done. Else might their strength be marred and could not save. Alive to the truth that dwells in God's extremes, awake to a motion of all seeing force, the slow outcome of the long ambiguous years, and the unexpected good from woeful deeds. The immortal sees not as we vainly see. He looks on hidden aspects and screen powers. He knows the law and natural line of things, undriven by a brief life's will to act, unharassed by the spur of pity and fear. He makes no haste to unite the cosmic knot or the world's torn, jarring heart to reconcile. In time, he waits for the eternal's hour, yet a spiritual secret aid is there, while a tardy evolution's coils wind on, and nature hews her way through adamant, a divine intervention thrones above. Shall I go to the next?
Yeah, one more page.
Okay, yeah. Alive in a dead, rotating universe, we will not hear upon a casual globe, abandoned to a task beyond our force, even through the tangled anarchy called fate, and through the bitterness of death and fall, an outstretched hand is felt upon our lives. It is near us in un, uh, unmurmured bodies and births, in its unslackening grasp, it keeps for us safe the one inevitable supreme result. No will can take away and no doom change. The crown of conscious immortality, the Godhead promised to our struggling souls, when the first man's heart dared death and suffered life. One who has shaped this world is ever its Lord. Our errors are his steps upon the way. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives. He works through the hard breath and battle and toil. He works through our sins and sorrow and our tears. His knowledge overrules our nations. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, When nothing we can see but drift and bail, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. After we have served this great divided world, God's bliss and oneness are our inborn right. A date is fixed in the calendar of the unknown, an anniversary of the birth sublime. Our soul shall justify its checkered walk. All will come near that now in not or far. These calm and distant mites shall act at last, inevitably ready for their destined task. The ever-wise, compassionate brilliance await the soul of the incarnate's voice to leap and bridge the chasm of ignorance and heal the hollow yearning gulfs of life and fill the abyss that is the universe.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, who wants to go next?
I can go if no one else.
Yes, please.
Yeah, one second. Okay. Here, meanwhile, at the spirit's opposite pole, in the mystery of the deeps that God has built for his abode below the thinker's sight, in this compromise of a stark, absolute truth with the light, what dwells near the dark end of things. In this tragicomedy of divine disguise, this long, far seeking for joy ever near, in the grandiose dream of which the world is made, in this gold dome on a black dragon base, the conscious force that acts in nature's breast, a dark-robed laborer in the cosmic scheme, carrying clay images of unborn gods, executrix of the inevitable idea, hampered, enveloped by the hoops of fate, patient trustee of slow eternal time, absolves from hour to hour a secret charge. All she foresees in masked imperative depths, the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs answers to a will that sees upon the heights, and the evolving word's first syllable, ponderous, brute-sensed, contains its luminous close, privy to a summit victory's vast descent, and the portent of the soul's immense uprise. All here where each thing seems its lonely self are figures of the soul transcendent one. Only by him they are, his breath is their life, an unseen presence molds the oblivious clay, a playmate in the mighty mother's game. One came upon the dubious whirling globe to hide from her purest, to hide from her pursuit in force and form. A secret spirit in the inconscious sleep, a shapeless energy, a voiceless word. He was here before the elements could emerge, before there was light of mind or life could breathe. Accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense, his semblance he turns to real shapes, and makes the symbol equal with the truth. He gives to his timeless thoughts a form in time. He is the substance, he the self of things. She has forged him her works of skill and might. She wraps him in the magic of her moods and makes of his myriad truths her countless dreams. The master of being has come down to her, an immortal child born in the fugitive years, in objects wrought in the person she conceives. Dreaming, she chases her idea of him and catches here a look and there a jest. Even he repeats in them his ceaseless births. He is the maker and the world he made. He is the vision and he is the seer. He is himself the actor and the act. He is himself the knower and the known. He is himself the dreamer and the dream. There are two who are one and play in many worlds. In knowledge and ignorance they have spoken and met, and light and darkness are their eyes interchange. Our pleasure and pain are their wrestle and embrace. Our deeds, our hopes are intimate to their tale. They are married secretly in our thought and life. The universe is an endless masquerade, but nothing here is utterly what it seems. It is a dream fact vision of a truth, which but for the dream would not be wholly true. A phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. We accept its face and pass by all it means. A part is seen, we take it for the whole. Thus have they made their play with us for roles. Author and actor with himself as scene. He moves there as the soul, nature she. Here on the earth we must fill our parts. We know not how shall run the drama's course. Our uttered sentences wheel in their thought.
Thank you. Thank you. So here, I think some of us may have observed, here it starts. So earlier there was like a background building up, and now he starts to, because we can see he and she. So Purusha and Prakriti. He is the substance, he the self of things. She wraps him in magic of her moods. So consciousness and the contents of consciousness. Usually we are so lost in the contents of consciousness that as if the consciousness is just wrapped, like how we wrap in a foil some food, the food can't be seen but the foil can be seen. So she wraps him in the magic of her moods. He is the maker and the world he made. He is the vision, he is the seer, he himself the actor and the act, himself the knower and the known, himself the dreamer and the dream. So this is that oneness, that right now what we are trying to do in ourselves is like this disentangling, which is still a duality. So I am conscious and conscious of a thought, a feeling, it is still a duality. But here he moves towards that oneness, that actually they are not two but one only. So the dream is also the dreamer. It's just the one substance is one. Right now we have to, we can't, it is inevitable that we must go through this disentangling, which involves duality, that I am able to see a thought, so there is consciousness and a thought, but ultimately it comes that consciousness and the thought are not two but one. The substance is one. So he takes us there. He himself, the dreamer and the dream, knower and the known. They are married secretly in our thought and life. So usually when we are, in our ordinary consciousness, we see that it doesn't appear like two different entities. It is just like married together. They are in one embrace. So consciousness and the content of consciousness is married together. They are married secretly in our thought and life. A phenomenon stands out significant. So whatever finite that we can see, thought, feeling, sense, perceptions, that we can see as significant. Our storylines seem very, very significant against the dim backgrounds of eternity. So that consciousness has taken a back seat. It doesn't make itself appear very out loud, and that will come later also. Yeah. So we can go ahead and maybe take two more.
Yeah, those 4 lines that you highlighted,
Yes, yes.
that
Yeah.
he is a maker and the world he made.
Mm.
When reading that, something said Krishna, 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 Krishna. I just kept
Mm.
on saying
Mm.
until the end of it,
Mm.
and
Mm.
it's a good reminder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sri Ramakrishna used to use the analogy,
Mm.
like milk and its sweetness,
Mm. Mm.
sun and its heat. I mean,
Mm.
there are many. It's the same.
Mm.
So they're not separate, which I
Mm.
think
Mm. Mm.
that is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mother also has that beautiful this thing, right? Without him, I exist not. Without
Yes.
me, he is unmanifest.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. Yes. So I'll read two more pages. Her mighty plan she holds back from our sight. She has concealed her glory and her bliss, and disguised the love and wisdom in her heart. Of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, only a darkened little we can feel. He too wears a diminished Godhead here. He has forsaken his omnipotence. His calm he has foregone and infinity. He knows her only. He has forgotten himself. To her he abandons all to make her great. He hopes in her to find himself anew, incarnate, wedding his infinity's peace to her creative passion's ecstasy. Although possessor of the earth and heavens, he leaves to her the cosmic management and watches all, the witness of her scene, a supernumerary on her stage. So this is also a very beautiful word. Supernumerary is like an actor. If one is acting on a stage, an actor who is like, we have lots of people dancing, and it's like we really don't focus on all the people dancing, but the one in front. So supernumerary is like that, like one who takes a backstage willingly, watches all, the witness of her scene, a supernumerary on her stage. He speaks no words or hides behind the wings. He takes birth in her world, waits on her will, divines her enigmatic gestures sense, the fluctuating chance turns of her mood, works out her meanings she seems not to know, and serves her secret purpose in long time. As one too great for him, he worships her. He adores her as his regent of desire. He yields to her as the mover of his will. He burns the incense of his nights and days, offering his life a splendor of sacrifice. A rapt solicitor for her love and grace, his bliss in her to him is his whole world. He grows through her in all his being's powers. He reads by her God's hidden aim in things. Or a courtier in her countless retinue, content to be with her and feel her near. He makes the most of the little that she gives, and all she does drapes with his own delight. So this is what we were reading earlier in some other session. I may not recollect which exactly, but we were reading that for the soul, everything is delight. Even pain is a delight. But in our ordinary consciousness, to the mind, it appears that, oh my God, I don't want this and I want that. But all that Prakriti manifests is the delight of that Supreme Purusha. And all she does drapes with his own delight. A glance can make his whole day wonderful. A word from her lips with happiness wings the hours. He leans on her for all he does and is. He builds on her largesses his proud, fortunate days, and trails his peacock plumaged joy of life, and suns in the glory of her passing smile. In 1,000 ways he serves her royal needs. He makes the hours pivot around her will, makes all reflect her whims, all is their play. This whole wide world is only he and she, Purusha and Prakriti. This is the knot that ties together the stars. The two who are one are the secret of all power. The two who are one are the might and right in things. His soul, silent, supports the world and her. His acts and are her commandments' registers. Happy, inert, he lies beneath her feet. So this is again referring to that also, that image of Shiva lying beneath the feet of Kali comes to our sight. Happy, inert, he lies beneath her feet. His breast he offers for her cosmic dance, of which our lives are quivering theatre, and none could bear but for his strength within, yet none would leave because of his delight. So all the play of Prakriti, which to our mortal, ordinary, limited conceptual mind appears like divisive, good and bad and evil and, beautiful. But for Purusha and Prakriti, that is why we say that to an ignorant mind it appears as Maya, but for a wise one it is a Leela, not a Maya. Because when one truly have this realization that it's actually a play of Prakriti and Purusha, and not only just in theory like we are reading and intellectualizing and maybe philosophizing, but as a reality we feel it within. We know it, that yes, this is it. Then it can become a delight. His works, his thoughts have been devised by her. His being is a mirror vast of hers. Active, inspired by her, he speaks and moves. His deeds obey her heart's unspoken demands. Passive, he bears the impacts of the world as if her touches shaping his soul and life. His journey through the days is her sun march. He runs upon her roads. Hers is his course. A witness and student of her joy and dole. A partner in her evil and her good. Many a times we wonder, that, why is the God so cruel that he lets all the things happen, such deadly things happen in the world, But that is the thing, that there is nothing, that which appears as cruelty has also a purpose in the evolution of consciousness. So in that sense, a partner in her evil and her good. He has consented to her passionate ways. He is driven by her sweet and dreadful force. His sanctioning name initials all her works. So this is again what we were reading in these conversations, that the Purusha has by default given this sanction to Prakriti that you are in the foreground. Through you, through the life situations, through thoughts and feelings and all the happenings, manifestations, I will grow, but you have my like sanction that you are in the foreground, and that sanction can be withdrawn when the Purusha grows in stature through the Prakriti's movements. So that is what we were reading. His sanctioning name initials all her works. And this is what we have to discover in ourselves, that whenever we are ready, we can withdraw that sanction which is now not really necessary in our life. Yeah, so I think rest of it I'll just leave to all of us. Just wanted to touch upon these aspects, and again it continues. It's a very I can see that so many beautiful lines still have to come, but ultimately he comes to uh, this passage here. The master of existence lurks in us and plays at hide and seek with his own force. Immanent lives in man as in his house. He has made the universe his pastimes field, a vast gymnasium of his works of might. All knowing, he accepts our darkened state. Divine, wears shapes of animal or man. Eternal, he ascends to fate and time. So this again, I would request whoever feels like reading it, one can go ahead and read in our own silences, because there we get to know that there is a design of creation which is going on in the backdrop. Yeah. And I think somewhere it also comes that how through life's experiences the Purusha then gains stature, he comes to the foreground, and then the thing changes. So there also we can maybe touch upon a little that it changes there. Just a second.
Yeah, I think there is also some lines ahead, to the point that you just made.
Yeah.
Something says like, till then he is a plaything
Till
in her
then,
game.
exactly. That is where I want to come. Do you
Yes,
exactly
yes. I
know
was
what it
just,
is?
I see. I'm on different edition, so Kindle, but it's not. It's just a little bit ahead of where we left off.
Yeah. Okay.
Her seeming regent, yet her fancy story. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, that is what I think was in the book and what you were just saying.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like power of attorney we have given, and it's
Exactly.
just she's
Yeah.
doing whatever she wants.
Yeah. Not able to find it right now. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's what exactly the lines that you pointed out, that till that point where the Purusha gains that stature and is ready to come to front, till that we will be puppeted around because we only have given the sanction. So, yes. Yeah. So
Yeah,
coming
this is a
back
beautiful.
to maybe, yeah, Vishal, you were saying something?
No. I was just saying this is such a beautiful canto.
Hmm.
I mean, you read it so many times.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
So this is what we were reading here. Uh, there is certainly a consent to the play of Prakriti, but Purusha is not free then. So when this by default sanction is given, we are not free. We actually are puppeted around by the movements of Prakriti, the happenings that are happening, the sense perceptions, the thoughts and feelings. We are just a puppet. But as we gain stature, as we realize that, oh, there is this consciousness which is looking at the things, and if I want, I can stop, I can withdraw the sanction that I have already given. So there he says Purusha must first recover his attitude of witness. So that disentangling that we were talking of, and that comes again and again in this book, first that has to be stabilized. Then he experiences that he has a certain power over the activities of Prakriti. Yeah. So I think we can stop here, and maybe in our daily life and day to day interactions with the world and people and life situations, to see that how easily we get swayed, and whenever something hits us and acts like a trigger, I think there it's my chance to again stabilize that witnessing stance and to see whether to give sanction or to withdraw sanction to some movement that is there, which by default is just going on, but now I have a choice. So we have always a choice if we are conscious. And if we are not conscious, that is also our choice. We are making a choice to be unconscious. Yeah. Long, dim preparations is man's life, but I think we have to do whatever we can do in each moment and continue this collaboration, which is a joy. Anything last, anyone? Okay, so let's take a moment of silence to share and dedicate all the goodness, all the merit that we have, individual and collective, with innumerable sentient beings, all of them craving for what all of us are craving for, a kind of fulfillment, contentment, a lasting joy and happiness. May we all have that true wellness and true joy that we all seek. May we find it within and without ourselves. May all of us be truly well and truly happy. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful session. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.